now come to a maiden speech. Liam Conlon.
And thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And may I congratulate the Right Honourable Member for Erith and Thamesmead, who's been a friend of mine for many, many years, on securing this debate today. The first time we've had a Black History Month debate in government time. We're incredibly proud of you and everything you're doing. Also like to thank the contributions that have been made so far today as well from the Honourable Members for Brent East, Eastbourne, Luton North, Huntingdon. Thank you very much for the brilliant contributions you've made here today as well. Madam Deputy Speaker, it's an honour to make my maiden speech in Black History Month, and I know that this debate will be welcomed by many of my constituents in Beckenham and Penge. We're proud of notable locals such as former children's TV presenter Baroness Benjamin of Beckenham, Windrush lawyer and campaigner Jacqueline Mackenzie, and my friend Michelle de Leon, the CEO and founder of World Afro Day. Madam Deputy Speaker, Beckenham and Penge is a new constituency, so I have two predecessors I'd like to thank. Colonel Bob Stewart served Beckenham for 14 years. He also served our country as the commander of UN forces in Bosnia, where he was deservedly awarded the Distinguished Service Honour. I'd like to extend my very best wishes to Bob and his family. And I'd also like to thank my good friend, the Right Honourable Member for Lewisham West and East Dulwich. She has served our communities in Penge, Clockhouse and Crystal Palace with an unrivalled dedication for the past 7 years and leaves a strong legacy I will strive to build on. And it would be remiss of me to mention one of the Reeves sisters without paying tribute to our new Chancellor, the first female Chancellor. The Chancellor and Right Honourable Member for Lewisham West and East Dulwich both attended Cater Park School for Girls in Penge. When I visit local schools, I always talk about them. They are an inspiration to so many girls and young women in our constituency, and we are incredibly proud of them. Madam Deputy Speaker, when Colonel Bob Stewart made his maiden speech, he described Beckenham by saying, "Politically, it is a fabulous place. It has been a Tory hotbed forever." And once upon a time, that was true. We count John Major amongst our former residents. But 14 years on, I'm delighted to update the House. It is, in fact, the Labour Party with the strongest connections to my constituency today. Beckenham and Penge is home to not one, but two former General Secretaries of the Labour Party, who oversaw two of our greatest victories in 1997 and 2024, respectively. Lord Tom Sawyer and the mighty David Evans. We also have the longest-serving chair of the Parliamentary Labour Party, Lord Cryer, and a former General Secretary of the Trades Union Congress, my good friend, Lord Monks. And I can tell you that as a candidate, knowing every single one of those people is watching you is one way to keep you out campaigning in all weathers. Madam Deputy Speaker, Beckenham and Penge brings together a rich tapestry of distinct and diverse communities. It stretches from the SE20 postcode in Crystal Palace, the spiritual home of UK athletics, where no fewer than 19 world records have been set, the historic park with its Grade 1 listed dinosaurs, and Crystal Palace Bowl, where Bob Marley played his largest ever UK gig. And it runs all the way through to the beautiful BR postcodes of Shortlands, West Wickham and Beckenham, where former local resident David Bowie launched his music career. And as someone who is incredibly proud of their London Irish identity, it is very special to represent the only place in London with a Gaelic place name, Penge, meaning edge of the woods. And coming back briefly to this debate today, there has always been a lot of solidarity between the Irish and Caribbean and African communities in London. They encountered a shared experience of dedication when, as it was mentioned earlier, they were invited to this country to staff our NHS, to build our roads, to help make our country the great place it is to live. And were met often with discrimination, including signs on windows that read "No dogs, no blacks, no Irish." That shared experience of living on the edge of society and the trauma that comes with it, but found solidarity between those communities. And that solidarity is important, and it represents the best of Labour values too. Madam Deputy Speaker, each place and community in Beckenham and Penge has its own story and history to tell. But whilst our communities are diverse and distinct, we are also connected and united by shared values of solidarity and care, a belief that everyone should be able to fulfil their potential and that we are stronger together than we are alone. And they are the values that shape my political outlook too. They come from an understanding of society that is rooted in my experience of the NHS as a teenager and of disability ever since. So let me tell you what happened to me. When I was 13, the day after we'd broken up for the summer holidays in Year 8, I had an accident in which I shattered my right hip, which led to irreversible damage to my knee and spine. From that point onwards, I was unable to walk for 4 years. I was taken to the Royal London Hospital and then later the National Orthopaedic Hospital. At the Royal London, I was incredibly fortunate to have been placed in the care of Dr. Mark Patterson, one of the best orthopaedic paediatric consultants in the country. Mark performed nearly 10 major surgeries on me as a teenager, and I was then transferred to the National Orthopaedic Hospital, where as a sixth former, I became one of the youngest people in Britain to have a hip replacement. Throughout those years, I spent nearly as much time on NHS children's wards as I did in the school classroom. So much so that I had to drop most of my GCSEs to focus on my core subjects, and I was then forced to go back a year at school. Madam Deputy Speaker, every year hundreds of children in Britain are admitted to long-term care in NHS hospitals, just like I was. But whilst in many ways a grim reality, my experience of NHS children's wards, especially the Grosvenor B ward at the Royal London Hospital, was that they are also places of great hope, deep compassion and world-class care. So today I want to say thank you to the countless NHS staff and volunteers who helped me throughout those years. They quite literally got me back on my feet and paved the way for me to become the first in my family to go to university. To the consultants and surgeons, physios, junior doctors, nurses, receptionists, hospital cleaning staff, thank you. I will pay my gratitude to you forward by using my voice in this place to fight for the NHS, just like the NHS fought for me. But it was also my experiences of leaving hospital that have shaped my understanding of the world around me. I realised firsthand at a young age the million different challenges disabled people face every day and how invisible they are to anyone else. Today, disabled people are amongst the most marginalised in Britain. There is a disability employment gap in this country of 29%. Only 1 in 4 children, disabled children, have access to sport at school. And millions of disabled people in this country face the indignity of not being able to access public spaces or even board a train. I don't need to read a briefing to know what that feels like. It's why representation matters and why I am determined to make my voice as one of the disabled MPs in this Parliament heard. Madam Deputy Speaker, I hope when my successor comes to make their maiden speech, Beckenham and Penge will be an even better place to live. Our NHS and public services will be available to everyone whenever they need them, and we will be living in a society which is fairer and more inclusive for disabled people, and in a country that recognises its diversity as a strength to be celebrated and championed. I will work hard to make those things happen for as long as I am lucky enough to represent my community here. Thank you.
Well, that was a very, very memorable Maiden speech. And now